Hey, children champs, I hope you're having a blessed and positive day. So, I wanted to talk to you guys about God connecting the dots in your life. So, I'll say I was about 19, 20 years old, and God had me working at this job, and I was in a parking lot talking to strangers, and I was trying to convince them to sign this petition. And I was out there in the hot sun for about 8 hours a day. After the second or third day, I quit the job. So I was no longer working there. And in the moment, it didn't make sense. Like, why would I even be given the opportunity to do a job like that? That's something that I'm not even interested in. And here we are, 10 plus years later, and God has me in a parking lot talking to strangers, interviewing them. And I say that to say that even in those mundane things, even in those things that we feel are small and the details feels useless, God is significant to God. God used that moment in that small position in that job for 3 days. He used that to prepare me already for something greater, something that He had in mind. I didn't have it in mind. God did. So that's why it's important that we're trusting God with every connection, with every experience, with everything that we go through, because God is the one that's connecting the dots in our life. And see, when God created us, He had a picture in mind. He had a purpose in mind. And in order for him to achieve the full purpose, he created a plan. He created steps. That's why it says the steps of a good man are ordered. The steps of a righteous man are ordered. So God orders your steps. He delights in you following his will. So he connects the dots, even in those little things. And you may be going through a difficult situation right now. You may be going through a tough time in your life right now. You may have had a loss of a loved one or a heartbreak or anything, just know that it's preparation for something bigger. Know that God is into the details, and what may be small detail to us is actually big for Him. And God always uses the small things to get to something bigger. That's why it's important that we're taking the small steps. So even in that moment of me at that job, and even in that moment of me doing something in the parking lot, who would have known years later I would be doing something in the parking lot? I didn't know, but He did. So because He knew that that was part of the step. When He wrote the plan out, He knew that that was a detail that I need to put in her life to allow her to get to this place. And when she get here, I'm going to use something else to connect the dots. And this connection, in this relationship, everything is a piece to the puzzle. And it's like this piece may feel so useless, but you need this piece or this detail in your life to create the whole puzzle, to create the full picture. That's why you just have to trust that God knows what's best for us. God knows more than we do. And even though sometimes we in situations that don't make sense, or we're in situations that we feel as though are vain, or God can't use nothing out of it, know that everything happens for a reason, and know that God is using something out of it for something greater, because He knows the plan. We don't. He already knows the full puzzle. We don't. We just have to work the pieces that He gives us. So that's why sometimes you're at a job that just doesn't make sense. Just like me, I was at a job that just didn't make sense, but it made sense to God. And that's all that matters. It may not make sense to you. The struggle that you're dealing with may not make sense to you. The pain that you're going through may not make sense to you. The heartbreak that you're going through, the abuse you dealt with, the abandonment, you being an orphan, it may not make sense to you, but it makes sense to God. And sometimes God is so good, He'll start to let you see the connections of the dots. So even though I didn't understand why I did that years ago, I do now. He gave me the wisdom to understand that now. And that's the same for you. God is probably giving you wisdom and trying to help you understand why He did put this piece there, why you had to go through that, why He connected you with that person. Because it's all for a bigger purpose. It's all for His glory. It's all for preparation. And God will use that very vain thing for preparation. So you don't realize your tears are, it has meaning. It's for preparation. Your discomfort right now is for preparation. And all of it may not make sense, But as long as it makes sense to God, and as long as you know that He's ordering your steps, as long as you know you can trust that He's leading you and connecting the dots to a big, greater thing that's bigger than you, then you just have to trust Him. Because everything that you go through is not going to add up. Everything that you go through, you're not going to have all the answers of why you went through it. But that's where faith comes in. That's where trust comes in. Knowing that even though I got to deal with this right now, I know that it's leading me to something better. It's leading me to something greater. God always orders our steps, and He has an order, He has a system, and His will is perfect. And even though it may not seem perfect to us, it's perfect to Him. He has a purpose in mind, He has glory in mind, and it's important for us to just be obedient and take the steps that He tells us to take, even though it doesn't look like it's meaningful, even though it doesn't look like it has substance to it. No, if God brought you to it, then it's substance in it. If God brought you to it, then it's what He ordained for your life, because it's bringing you to the promised land. And it may not look like it's bringing you to the promised land, but it is. So trust the process, trust what you're going through right now, because yes, it gets hard. Yes, it gets difficult. Yes, there's some nights where you feel like you're restless. There's some nights where you may be crying tears because you're going through so much. But know that there's a meaning behind it. Know that there's a reason for everything. And the season that you're in is connecting to the next season. And then that season is connected to the next season. And it's all going to come together in this big master plan that God has created. So remind yourself that even in the small things, God is doing a big thing. All right, Chosen Champs, I'll see you guys next time. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys. Peace.